The playoffs have arrived. Here it is. It's playoff week. Who knows if it'll be playoff weeks or a playoff month for the San Diego Padres. But either way, we are in full battle mode, and the only place you can experience everything that we're doing at Padres Hot Tub is by joining us as a patron, going to patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub and signing up for as little as $5 a month. Why do we say that? Because we are doing now win or lose every game post-game shows for the entirety of the postseason. And hopefully it's for 13 Padres wins and who knows how few losses along the way. But either way, we're going to be there after every game, recording live with our patrons on our Discord. And you can be right there in the audience with us at patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. Now, we'll have our series previews. We'll have our series recaps. Eventually, we'll do an end of season recap. Hopefully, it's champagne soaked. All of those will be on the main feed. But if you want to get into the game by game nitty gritty, you got to go to patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. Take advantage of our ridiculously low prices in a world where everything is more expensive. I went to a place last night that happens to have a wonderful geographical advantage as a bar and restaurant, in that it's directly across the street from Del Mar Fairgrounds, and it's the only place. And a beer, $15. Mac and cheese, $15 for a bowl of mac and cheese. That's 3 months of Patreon subscription. That would have been like 40 shows or thereabouts that you would have gotten for the price of one lousy bowl of mac and cheese at an overpriced restaurant. Okay, so in an era where everything is so expensive, we've kept our prices low because we love our community. So patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. Find out what's up. Join us for the playoff fun, and then stay with us all winter. Raphie Cantor in full battle mode. We should have had the war paint on, brought in, because it's time. It's playoff time. Whoa. Things have escalated quickly.
Chris has a knife.
I don't know what you're gonna. He's whittling. Yeah. Don't worry, folks. He's whittling
just for
his
my
war
wood,
spear.
everyone. Don't worry about it.
Oh, it's time. It's Padres and Cubbies. And it's really wild, guys. I was thinking about this. We've got a full preview coming up here on Padres Hot Tub. We're going to get into what happened in the last weekend of the season. We're going to get into the stakes of it, and then into the preview and the big keys and whatnot. I don't think, although my co-hosts may, I don't think there's any point in us offering a prediction. This is the Padres Hot Tub. We all want the Padres to win. So
Padres in one.
Let's just right.
Could you imagine if one of us was like Cubs in 2, guys? It's over.
Listen, I really think it's the Cubbies here.
Matthew Boyd.
I mean, what would be the point? Yeah, even if you're right, what's the point? What's the point? So I don't. We'll just look at the keys and how the series is weighted and all of that. Still to come. But, first, I think it is relevant just to reflect on the fact that for the San Diego Padres, 90 victories, back-to-back seasons, Mr. Schilt, Mr. 90, Mike Schilt, he gets 90 every year. He's now 4 for 4 in his big league career, winning 90 games each season. And this club making it back-to-back playoffs 4 years out of 6, being relevant, being a hot team that's being talked about. First 50 years of the franchise, they made the playoffs 5 times. And then in 6 years, they've made it 4 times. I think it's important just to say, another good Padres season in the books for a team that's trying to win it all.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to the folks running the team. Thank you, A.J. Preller, for The Athletic had a fantastic kind of profile of AJ about what a complete weirdo he is.
Ketchup on his steak.
I'm
sorry.
That's where weirdo comes from, man.
I don't
that
know
was the
about
only
that.
thing that I was like, Like I'm happy with the basketball stuff. Panera Bread is what it is. But they talked about 4-star steakhouses getting the Heinz 57 treatment. And it's a really good profile. If you can find it, read it. Thank you to him for his sleepless nights and constant barraging, his artillery barrage of phone calls to opposing GMs. Thank you to the Seidler family. Like, the investment, I feel like, is being repaid when you see Petco Park every night the way it is. Padres had got to be on the leaderboard, the top 10 leaderboard for average attendance increases this year when they were already setting records for sellouts. Their average attendance this year went up another 1,200 people. Like, how much further can it go up? And that's a result of investing in the team, putting players that we can buy jerseys for, knowing that they're going to be around, knowing that they're going to get pissed off at the press for decades to come. And it's pretty awesome.
It's very awesome. I was able to reflect on this on the show yesterday on the postgame show, and just like, I associated the Padres for the vast majority of my life, not with being bad, but with being mediocre, which is worse.
Irrelevant.
Because it's just forgettable. I grew up on the Wiki Gonzalez.
Don't you dare
Adam
bring
Eaton.
Wiki into this. Bring my
I am bringing Wiki into it. I love Wiki Gonzalez. But just fucking, 76 wins and see you next year. Like, just nothing. Just nothing. But hey, we got Sky Show coming up in a few weeks.
Right.
So
Beach Towel Night. Don't forget Beach Towel Night's coming up.
Don't forget the branded radios that you'll get to carry with you. That put in your little earpiece.
Beat LA. Beat who can wait for the big series coming up.
And the Padres are a perennially nationally talked about team in the last 5 years, which is just really remarkable. Obviously, they haven't slayed the dragon in the ways that we would hope, vanquished for good. But by virtue of the fact that they are in baseball's greatest rivalry right now, I think that's finally being recognized. They've been able to stay in the national conversation, and they are a star pack team. For better or for worse, the Padres are fascinating, interesting, provide an endless fount of things for us to talk about. And so I feel very lucky. It's just so bizarre to think that, we have been talking all year, through 162 games, through spring training, through the winter meetings, through all this stuff. And it all comes down to 2 games in Chicago. And that's it. So happy to be here with you boys.
Which was the other thing I wanted to bring up as we kind of dive in. It's amazing to kind of think about how.
I got
what do you got there, kiddo?
Ever. First one, Eric Owens.
Oh.
Second one, Manny Machado.
Uh-huh.
Third one, Trevor Hoffman.
But
fourth one, Tony
obviously,
Gwynn.
Right?
And
All of a
fifth
pair.
Wiki.
Is that Wiki?
Winkleman
Wiki.
Gonzalez.
That was really like a greatness sandwich where you had the great guys in the middle, but then the bread pieces.
The bread
were,
was,
yeah.
The
guys carrying the bags.
Eric Owens could wear eye black like anyone else, like nobody else. Truly. He got dirt on that jersey and everything.
He did.
But anyway.
Sorry.
As I was saying, it's wild to think that in whatever it is, a week, 48 hours, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, the rest of our lives, the playoffs will define who the 2025 Padres are. And the results will have seemed to be obvious and even foretold in retrospect. So there's a version of this where it ends on Wednesday, and people are like, well, we always knew that this Padres team was hard news. There's a version of this where they're the world's champion, and people are like, well, I always knew that you could trust them through the highs and the lows. And today, as we record Monday, September 29th, 2025, the Padres are neither and both of those things at once. And it's just wild. Yesterday, I occasionally make very impulsive T-shirt purchases on the internet. It's one of my weaknesses. And I bought a Schrodinger's cat T-shirt. The T-shirt represents a Venn diagram. And the left side of the Venn says alive. The right side says dead. And the interlap is just a cat in the middle. because Schrodinger's cat, which is Erwin Schrödinger, an Austrian physicist's 1935 thought experiment to try and explain the paradoxes of quantum physics, it wasn't a real thing, okay? He didn't actually put a cat in a box with a radioactive atom and a vial of poison and a hammer that would intermittently break or not break the vial of poison. It was just a thought experiment, but the idea was that the cat would be put in the box with these items that may or may not kill it, and then you would observe, and observation would allow you to find out whether the cat lived or died. But before that, the cat was neither alive nor dead. It was both alive and dead at the same time. And that's what the Padres are, as are the Cubs, the Blue Jays, the Yankees, the Mariners, the Dodgers, and everyone else. They're the World Series champions. They're out in the first round. Half of them will be dead before you know it, but today everyone's alive and everyone knows that all but one's going to be dead right around the turn. So it's this fascinating in-between state that we live in today, which leads me to say, exalt the team, accept the results. You've gotten here with a good team. You can't change the team now. The team's not going to be different. They're not going to behave differently. They may play better. They may play worse, but they're going to be this team. So this is our team. Let's ride and let's see what happens and accept the result.
Yeah, I mean, just think about this, probably by the time you listen to this, it'll be, late afternoon, evening, if you're a patron on Monday, if you're going to be on the main feed just after midnight on Tuesday. But the wild card round is going to feature the Padres, Cubs, the Reds, Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Tigers, and the Guardians. And around this time on Thursday, 4 of those teams will be dead. And they're all on their, Reds are talking on Skyline Chili podcast right now, and Red Sox are, talking on Beantown Stew, and Yankees are on Hudson River Hot Dog Boil. And they're all
lobster pot talk hour is what it is.
Oh,
yeah, that's Red Sox.
That's Red Sox.
Lobster pot talk hour.
Lobster pot talk hour.
Okay.
Lobster pot talk hour.
But they're all talking on their own respective shows about why they're the ones and why this year's going to work and everything. And 4 of them are wrong, and by Thursday. So I just think it's important to set that expectation, that tone, and like you're saying, exalt the team, accept the results.
Okay, let's get to the weekend that was. The Padres swept the Diamondbacks, eliminated them on a Tatis upper deck grand slam off Zach Gallen, which was poetry. I mean, it was absolute cinema, as the kids would say, as the Gen A's would say these days, cinema. Because it was Gallen's last start.
Likely. More than likely, yeah.
Probably.
89%.
Probably, yeah. Last start for Arizona, and they rode that ace into the night. And him against, it felt so college baseball, super regionals, like our ace that's tired, your superstar hitter at the plate, but we're going to face him. There's no way out of this room. And then Tatis 9-pitch at bat and grand slam and finishes off Arizona. And then in the games that the Padres knew that their fate was locked, they still went out and played great and won both games. It was an absolutely perfect tune-up for the San Diego Padres. They hit a bunch of homers. And I feel like, guys, going into the playoffs now, you can say not only did San Diego wind up on the right side of the bracket, the side we wanted, the trip through the Central, that, who knows, maybe like Raphie just said, maybe they'll be dead on the side of the road in 48 hours and we'll be laughing at ourselves. But it was the preferred trip analytically. And you can say Tatis is looking like Tatis right now. He's looking like that supercharged superstar version of himself that makes you believe that you could beat any team in the league.
What I was impressed by was a game that I didn't get to see at all, but JP Sears gives up a leadoff home run to Ketel Marte in that Sunday game, right? And I can just see the people in the watch party in a meaningful game going, uh-oh, we're done, we're cooked. The Padres respond with 5 consecutive hits. Single, double. That is the formula for this team, stringing together solid at-bats and getting hits. And Brandon Pfaadt isn't a slouch. If the Diamondbacks win, 3 more games or so, they're Brandon Pfaadt's pitching game 2, right? Like that is their playoff guy. Like his ERA ain't great, but he would have been in that rotation with them. So not a gimme by any means, and the team goes out to do it. I'm not going to say they're getting hot at the right time because I don't want to be beaten up by Manny Machado. Apparently he hates that phrase, which I know I've heard major league players use to talk about in circumspect how the season ended up well for them. Well, we got hot at the right time. Like I've heard pro ball players use it, but Manny Machado apparently hates it. I love that Manny Machado is pissed off right now. I love that he's going after reporters because it seems like when Manny does that, when he has that edge, it seems like he kicks it into another gear. Manny Machado 3 weeks ago was destroying the dugout with a baseball bat. I know state TV didn't show that, but, you know, there were some Twitter videos of whatnot, like playing with fire. And, you know, I think going 5-1 in their last homestand is more than we could have asked for and bodes really well. Like it's exactly what we wanted. More than we can ask for, exactly what we wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to point out that Brandon Pfaadt, up until this point in his career, I wouldn't go so far as to say he was a Padre killer because he, has only been around for a few years, but he certainly seemed to be on that track. In 47 and a third innings, he had a 3.23 ERA against the Padres in his career. He only gave up a 3.85 slugging percentage. He had a 3.01 FIP. Because he did not give up a lot of home runs against the Padres. He did not walk a lot of guys against the Padres. He only had a 1.9 walks per 9 rate against the Padres in his career up until that point. And to just go out and literally one of my favorite Onion headlines ever is breaking news, Little League pitcher getting absolutely fucking shelled. And that was Brandon Pfaadt on Sunday against the Padres. And I think it really speaks a lot to the team where they saw, like you said, Chris, like they gave up the leadoff home run and against to Ketel Marte, and they could have been like, well, pack it in, guys. We got to catch a flight to Chicago in 5 hours. So, just take it easy and whatever. We just got to, who cares, about how this game finishes. And they didn't. They really saw it as this is our last chance to get into shape. And, Manny Machado going out on a bang and ending the season with a home run before he was subbed out, and an absolute piss missile of a home run as well. Really, really great to see him starting to return to form after a miserable 6 weeks in August and September. And yeah, I mean, I said this on the post-game show yesterday, but if I transport to last week's show when we were doing this, and I was like, guys, we go 5-1 in the last week, between the Brewers and the Diamondbacks. I mean, you really couldn't ask for anything else at that point. So, yeah. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the final week. Do we have Craig back, or is he frozen in amber?
I think I'm back.
He's back.
Yeah, more intermittent changes. Well, the one other thing I was just going to bring up is that it's not just Tatis that's heating up. Manny has shown signs of life.
Don't say that, God.
And I do think him getting
anywhere. Say that about
he's in
him.
Chicago. I can guarantee you
You're
that.
right. Oh,
yeah, he's showing signs of life. Ian O'Hearn, I'm about to pull it up. He's something along the lines of 500 over the course of his last 10 games or so. In his last 7 games, he's 12 for 26 with an 1133 OPS. And I think it's important, especially in this series, in his last 7 games, Jose Iglesias is 7 for 24. He's 292, 346, 583. 929 OPS over his last 7 games, and he's going to play an important role in this series at some point. It's an absolute guarantee given the plethora of lefties, in play for the Chicago Cubs. You've got guys that are heating up.
Look,
Bogarts has hit a home run and hit a couple of really long balls, even one that got caught. He's been looking good.
A guy we've been on all year, and not basically for anything he did, and he wasn't hitting well, but basically for how they utilized him. But Luis Arraez, he's close to 1 dot in it, boys.
Right. Arraez has finished the year hot. Absolutely. So a lot of Padres. Merrill finished the season house of fire. like close to 950 OPS after his final stint of injury. So a lot of Padres are locking in. Most important of all, Tatis. It gets you excited for the potential for the offense. On the other side, the Padres have taken injuries down the stretch that have diluted their final form product. Jason Adam, most significant, Ramon Laureano. But now Elias Diaz is a big question mark. He had to take himself out of the game on Saturday with an oblique. He says he just felt it a little. So was it a real pull or was it a partial pull? I don't know. The team flew Luis Camposano to Chicago. Apparently they did so. If you ever watch Silence of the Lambs, that contraption that they use to move Hannibal Lecter, that's how they move. Because Schilt refuses. Schilt just refuses to be in the same plane unless he's safe. He said unless he's safe. But they also then brought along Martin Maldonado. Yeah, seriously. I think it's the funniest thing. They brought Camposano to the team on Sunday, gave him a locker, did not show up, wasn't in, then gave him a spot on the plane, but then brought in Martin Maldonado the next day. Like, we're not actually going to play you, Luis. We just gave you a spot on the plane. Yes, yours was the only chair with handcuffs, but don't read anything into it. Don't read anything into it. We still think you're a valuable part of the organization, the El Paso organization. We think you're a very valuable part of the El Paso organization. So Elias Diaz is out, and on one level you say, who cares? You traded for Freddie Fermin, and he's the starting catcher for the San Diego Padres. But on the flip, all but one out of Nick Pavetta's season has been caught by Elias Diaz. And while I generally believe that the idea of personal catcher is bollocks and is a PR campaign to keep the catcher relevant, do you remember when Victor Caratini could be the only guy that could possibly catch Darvish? For him, yeah. Until the day they got rid of him. And then it was the next guy. It turns out pitchers pitch and catchers catch, and with the pitch come, the pitcher can tell the catcher what's coming instead of the other way around. So all of this stuff is crazy-ish, but do you want to test the theory in game one on the road in a place where Nick Pivetta pitched poorly, Wrigley Field? Do you want to test the theory there? That's the situation. Diaz says he's good enough to play. He's probably not. Like, let's be real. He'd probably be on the injured list immediately if this wasn't day one of the playoffs. Fermin is the next obvious option. He's had some chemistry issues with our pitchers since he's been here. And then the other guys are obviously non-starters in the discussion. So what to do for the good ship Padres behind the plate?
Just think that if Elias Diaz tweaked his oblique, that means he's going to be an absolute zero when batting. Just a nothing. And because the only thing you can say good about Elias Diaz at the plate, and there are very few things, but you can say he'll run into 7 home runs a year, or whatever. Like he has a home run swing. And, that could potentially be good against, I guess it would be Matthew Boyd facing the lefty-righty matchup that he would be facing in game one. But if he doesn't have that pop because he's hurt, then it's just legitimately you have a pitcher hitting. Like it's 1984 all over again. Yeah. Okay. And I just think that, not to jump the gun on our Cubs preview, but I think the one thing you can say about that Cubs lineup holistically is that they've got 1 through 9. Like everyone in that lineup can hit. And with the Padres not having Ramon Laureano, the catcher was always going to be a question mark, but now you potentially have 2 question mark spots in the lineup, and you're 1 through 7 going up against a 1 through 9 team. And so if he doesn't have that 3% chance to hit a home run, and that's down to a 0% chance, I just think it's really limiting to keep Elias Diaz in there. And I think Freddie Fermin is more than capable. And he's also by far and away the better defensive catcher against base runners, and a team that has Pete Crow Armstrong and other fast guys who are going to be running the bases.
Nico Horner.
You're going to want, you're going to want to have someone who can throw the baseball. So
yeah,
that's
I
my
wouldn't
2
mind
cents
at
there.
all if the Padres just did what they've done in years past. I mean, that's played their number one catcher every single playoff game. Like, I wouldn't mind that one bit.
It's probably what's going to happen. Almost inevitably, it is what's going to happen. And what I think furthermore will happen is that if they do need to deactivate Diaz, they will activate Mr. Martin Maldonado, and they will put him on their bench. And that Luis Camposano will be offered an opportunity to sit in the bleachers.
I don't want to get into it at all, Craig.
And watch the team from afar.
Martin Maldonado isn't on the team for half the season. Maybe they win the West. I can't stop. I can't stop myself.
Hey, if you go 5-1 against the Twins and the Orioles instead of going 1-5, you win the National League West. We said it, Raphie. We said it. We said the first week of September was going to be the defining week for one of those two teams, and it was us. It turned out it was us.
Yeah. No, and I mean, like, even, well, you know, maybe we can start getting to the Cubs side of it, unless there's further reflections we have on the Padres.
Well, two things. Sorry.
Yes.
We just mentioned Elias Diaz, but now this is transitioning because the Padres made a really, really important playoff decision over the course of this week, which was that they don't trust Michael King. They made it official when they pushed him out of a Friday start that would have put him in line to start game 2, then put him into a Saturday start, pulled him after 49 pitches.
I disagree with you, Craig. I can't wait to fight about this.
All right. And now they have banished him to the bullpen. And he's not going to start any of these games for the San Diego Padres. And instead, the guy that we have said should not start a playoff game for the Padres over and over and over since basically February is going to start game 2 for the San Diego Padres. I thought it was just a huge disappointment to me. We've been saying all summer, like, in the end, it could come down to how much can Michael King contribute. I wanted him to be the ace lockdown counterpart to Nick Pivetta. Now he is going to be in the bullpen, coming in with the Padres trailing, presumably.
Okay. Let's pump brakes. Is how I feel. I think this says way more about what the Padres think about Dylan Cease than it does about Michael King. Because I think what they are lining up for, and based on the little things that they have gleaned in newsletters from Kevin Acee and AJ Cassavell, is that they're lining up for Dylan Cease going once through the order against the Cubs, and then bringing in Michael King to go another time through the order against the Cubs. And I effing love that, because Dylan Cease is a phenomenal pitcher first time through the order, and you can just have him throw his 2 best pitches. If you're only facing hitters once, just go fastball slider. Don't even worry about that curveball if you don't have confidence in it. And then yank his ass out of there, bring in King. He can go another time, maybe, face the top of the order a second time through if you're feeling comfortable with it, and then hand it off to the super pen. And that's a winning formula, and potentially gives you optionality if you're going on to a division series. I think that ultimately, at the end of the day, a lot of this is going to depend on what happens on Tuesday, because that's going to influence, if you're up a game versus down a game, who are you throwing, et cetera. I actually think this scenario that I'm laying out is much more likely if the Padres lose on Tuesday, because then it's like fire every bullet that you have. Right. What good is keeping Michael King in the tank if you're not going to be playing on Thursday, potentially? But it gives you optionality also come a division series where, you're playing game 1 on Saturday, and, you might even say, hey, if those guys are only throwing, 30, 40 pitches or whatever it is, they could be available to do the same thing in game 1 and then have Nick Pivetta start on regular rest in game 2 in the division series. So I actually think it gives a lot of options. I don't know that the two of them necessarily make a ton of sense as piggyback options, because they're sort of somewhat similar profile pitches, although King has that really nice arm side run, sinker and changeup that is going to be very different than the glove side run slider of Dylan Cease. That's his name. I just read it as that they really kind of lack confidence in both of these guys. But if you turn them into Power Rangers assembling and then turn them into one guy who can go 6 innings, well, that's a pretty formidable thing. And then you have your
and maybe mix in, like you talked about on Ben and Woods this morning, Craig, maybe throw in a Wandy Peralta opening for that. Like I think that was a really great idea. Do you think the Brewers don't have confidence in Freddie Peralta because they pitched him Saturday? and he only went 2 innings?
No, because that's
And
obviously
it's not that
different.
much different. I think they plan on. No,
Freddie
it's the
Peralta,
same
it's
exact
completely
thing.
They're not
different.
playing. They're not
Same
playing
exact
this
thing.
week.
Michael King,
They're
they
not playing
needed
this
him
week.
to get some
No,
pitches.
that was a tune-up.
And that was a tune-up for Michael King as well. More like a tune-up on a car
He
that
can't
hasn't
be
really
tuned
been
up.
running.
He's not tuned.
That's what I mean. It's a car that hasn't
He's out
been
of
running.
tune. You. It can't be a tune-up. He still needs time on the track.
He needed
You know,
exactly,
they're
and that was
figuring him
time
out.
on the track. That's all it was. Like I don't think it's a lack of confidence. I think it's a lack of knowing for sure. But I feel like it's got to be. I still think they trust Michael King a little bit more than Dylan Cease. At least I hope they do.
I hear what both of you guys are saying. I do understand, and the theoretical. Both guys pitched well. Cease, King, 1 time through the order, 2 times through the order, give it to the pen. That's great. However, in Dylan Cease's major league career, here are his starts in the playoffs. 1 2/3 innings, 2 hits, 3 walks, 3 runs allowed. Out. 10 batters faced. 3 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 2 walks, 5 earned runs, 18 batters faced. Out. Against the Dodgers, and then of course against the Dodgers, 1 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, 1 homer, out after 10 batters. In his career, it hasn't been second time through the problem. It's been first fucking guy.
It's been starting
is
the
the
playoff
problem
game.
because Cease has been horse crap in the playoffs.
Yes.
That's why I wanted and personally would argue for let's try and do something to shake up the Cubs, who start with lefty, righty, switchy, lefty, righty. Put a ground ball merchant like a Peralta out there to start the game. Try and get through Tucker in the lineup. Then bring in Cease where he's facing mostly a run of righties. I think it's like 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 7, 5 out of 6 that he'd face going down the stretch there with Swanson and Kelly, et cetera, starting with Suzuki. And adjust from there. So that's part one. Cease has been so bad in the playoffs that I don't count on him 1 time through the order. I count on him loading the bases with walks in the first inning. Then I get to King, who since coming back to the Padres has thrown 15 2/3 innings. He has allowed 18 hits. He's allowed 6 homers, and he has walked 7 guys in those games against 11 strikeouts. He's almost a walk every other inning right now in this current tuned up version of himself. I am going to be petrified in a 3-2 Padres lead in the 4th inning to turn it over to Michael King in a playoff situation where the crowd's going crazy and a Cubs lineup is very patient. They have patient hitters up and down that order. They're not a bunch of free swingers. It's not like facing the Reds here. They're facing a very patient lineup that could work him, because of his command issues, work him into a situation where he's in hot water in a hurry. And the second he's in hot water, Schilte's going to go to one of the big arms anyways and get him the F out of there. So that's why I'm so low on this. It's not that he went out there and threw 49 pitches. If he threw 49 pitches in 3 1/3 innings, 1 hit, no walks, 6 strikeouts, I'd be like, fuck yeah, we've got a bullpen weapon coming in. Right now, I'm like, we've got a Pandora's box. We've just got a big old question mark that's out there in Michael King. And I think you're right, Raphie, that they are going to pair him with Cease, and it's going to be a double question mark. Is Cease going to shit the bed like he's done every other time, or is he going to be okay? Well, what if he's okay? Let's go to question mark number 2. Michael King, we have no idea what we're going to get from him today. Let's see if this can keep our playoff season alive.
It's going to be like you said, one of the big arms. It's going to be one of the guys they can depend on for an inning third, an inning 2/3 in between them. Like, it's going to be Motorhome, or it might be Mason Miller. Like, those are going to be the guys that bail out the starters in trouble. It's not going to be David Morgan. It's not going to be, Wandy Peralta. Like, that's why I liked the Wandy thing, off the top, which I hadn't thought of. Like, walking into it, I had thought you start Michael King. If Michael King's walking guys, then you go to a high leverage arm and try to get yourself through the 3rd. And then in the 3rd, you have Dylan Cease or, you Darvish or whichever starter, because they're bringing them all.
Yeah.
And then you roll those dice.
Well, I mean, it's very evident that Darvish will only be pitching on Thursday if that comes, and if the Padres win the series in 2, he'll be pitching game 1 of DS series. So like I don't like Craig. I hear all your concerns, everything like that, but like, what is the other option at this point? Like the double question mark. Like, I'm with you, but like, they're not going to start Randy Vasquez over either of these guys. No. They're probably not going to do the Wandy Peralta opener, even though I do like it. And so like, I hear the concern, but also like, this is what we got. This is what it is. So we're just going to have to roll with it. We're going to have to hope Pivetta shoves, and
That's absolutely right. And I'm not going against what I said at the top. This is our team. It's not going to change. However, I would posit this is on the Cubs side of the ledger. This strategic discussion, it winds up being one of the points in the Cubs' favor in the series, is that you've got Pivetta in a situation where he is not inclined to be at his best, swirling winds, tough outfield, pitched very poorly at Wrigley the last time he was there. That was a long time ago, but also, by the way, the thing that the Padres have used as a dynamic talking point for the last 96 hours is how good Dylan Cease has been on the Cubs. Do you know how much weight a start in April of 2024 is carrying in that discussion? He went 7 innings, 1 hit shutout, 12 strikeouts. Oh. I mean, if you can tell me the April 2024 Dylan Cease is showing up, the Padres have a great chance to go very deep in these playoffs. Otherwise, it's nonsense and shut up in your face, because that's not relevant to the discussion. That guy hasn't walked through the door one time this year. Not one time this year has Dylan Cease put up a start anything like what he did that April night at Wrigley Field. So, in 2024. So, that part, but they keep bringing it up. And the reason is, Raphie, very simple, as you just said. What else are they going to do? What else are they going to do? Say, well, Dylan Cease kind of sucks, but we've got no choice, and we don't like these other guys any better. So let's roll the dice. It's a terrible statement to instill confidence. So they're going to say 19 innings, 1 run. Yeah. And I hope it works out. I hope I'm eating a Sunday, this tall triple scoop Sunday of crow on Wednesday night as the Padres are cleaning champagne out of the visiting locker room and Dylan Cease pitched 6 shutout innings, to get him there. Because that would be the redemption of his season and of a huge part of the arc of his career to date, if he could actually show up for his team in the playoffs. To me, this is just scratching something off the list for later. To me, he's the ultimate X factor in whether the Padres win or lose this series, because they're going to start him. So he's either going to do what he does. I don't agree
with that premise, man. I think they're going to start King. I just think they are.
All the reporting says it's Cease game 2.
And I think here's my scenario that I could see happening that I would be very concerned about, which is that I hear you. Dylan Cease has never shown up in the playoffs. But let's say, just for the sake of this argument, that he goes first time through the order and he is the Dylan Cease of promise, that he is the guy who's shut down first time through the order. Do you think Mike Schilt's going to go out there and pull him if he's shoving?
No chance.
Even though he absolutely should? Exactly.
He will not.
That's the part that I think he'll cruise to the first 3 innings, and then she'll be like, well, that's our ace out there. That's our stud. We can't, because you can't pull him right now when he's out there. He's got the eye of the tiger. Like, you got to let him ride. And then he'll turn into the Dylan Cease that we know second and third time through the order, who is, this is true, a pumpkin. And you do not want a pumpkin out there, even though it will be October 1st. Yeah, that's my big concern. But again, that's between us and the baseball gods at this point, because there's nothing else we can do.
Now, cool. The Cubs won 2 more games than the Padres this year, just like the Dodgers. And since the All-Star break, 35-31. This is a team that actually cooled off a great deal over the course of the summer. And there's a lot of Cubs fans, guys, coming into the playoffs with their own list of concerns.
Their own list of concerns, as Craig mutes himself.
Yeah. I thought maybe you'd pick up on that, but I had to cough. But seeing as not, let's continue forward. Those concerns include Kyle Tucker, their superstar, going through injury and an extended bout of ineffectiveness. Those concerns include a guy who carried them offensively throughout the first half of the season, Pete Crow Armstrong, turning into one of the worst hitters in baseball in the second half of the season. Not to as dramatic an extent, but Carson Kelly was OPSing way over 1,000 for about 6 weeks of the season. And then he regressed to being, Carson Kelly. He winds up still having a decent year, but he's been nowhere near what he was before. A lot of the a lot of the Cubs.
He says his internet's cutting out, so this might be dead air.
Back.
You're back. Okay. Do you go silent when you do that?
I'm back.
Or do you keep talking?
When I see the spinning thing, I'm not going to just waste the words into the universe because it's not there.
We only got
it's
so
telling
many.
me you guys both turn into pixelated.
You keep recording. You will keep recording. So if you are talking during that time, like that's the whole advantage.
But you don't
of
know
the
what I'm
software that we
saying.
use, is that it'll record locally.
But
that we just we just nod. We just nod and go, oh yes,
sagely.
Do you remember when this happened? This used to be me like 2 years ago, and you guys would
got
just do
your
the,
internet. I don't know what happened. Verizon sucks. I'm sorry about it, but. I'm learning this now.
I'm leaving all of this in the show. I think it's funny.
Okay, that's fine. Well, anyways, I was just going through some of the guys that are struggling for this club. The difference is, and you said it earlier, Raphie, it's a very balanced lineup. What we were hoping the Padres to have is kind of what they have. They lead off Michael Busch. He's got 34 homers. That's wild. Horner and Happ are just really steady on base guys. Suzuki has homered in 4 straight games after he went a month without a homer, over a month without a homer. All of a sudden, he's the most locked-in Cubs hitter and the most dangerous Cubs hitter. PCA cold, Kelly cold, Swanson and Shaw, kind of whatever. But they're all good. Like, it's an all at least good lineup for Chicago with a lot of versatility, too, that doesn't give you easy lanes to pitch to.
Yeah. I put this in the notes, but you know me, I'm Mr. Homer. I'm Mr. 180 Homer guy. And the Padres, for what it's worth, just to revisit this, hit 152 home runs this year. That's 28th in baseball. Only the Cardinals at 148 and the Pittsburgh Pirates at 117 home runs hit fewer. That is just insane. That is less than 3/4 of a home run per game. That is just crazy. Anyway, the Cubs, on the other hand, they're kind of the anti-Padres in a lot of ways because they were a lower average team. The Cubs hit 249 this year, whereas the Padres hit 252. So actually not that much lower.
Oh, yeah, wow.
But
we've got the edge.
We've got the edge. But they had 7 qualified hitters in their lineup. 6 of them had at least 22 home runs this year. 6 of them. And 3 of them had at least 31 home runs. Pete Crow Armstrong, Seiya Suzuki, and Michael Busch. And I suspect Kyle Tucker probably would have hit that number if he had been healthy the whole year, but he did not. So they're a bunch of boppers, and you're not really going to get a lot of relief, as you move down because, you can say the quote-unquote weaker points in their lineup, their 7, 8, 9 hitters, the aforementioned Crow Armstrong. You have Dansby Swanson, who is World Series champion, not a shabby hitter himself. He finished with a 99 WRC plus on the year, so you can basically spit that as average. You got an average hitter in their 8-hole. And you have Matt Shaw in the 9-hole, who has not been good, who's been missing some critical games for them to take care of some personal duties. And while he, had some sort of shabby times during the course of the year, getting sent back down to AAA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that's Matt Shaw in the 9-hole versus, you look at on the other side of the Padres lineup and it's Ferlius Fermindaz, on the other side. And are you feeling like that to match up at all? No, not whatsoever. So they're not going to give you a lot of relief. Again, they're playing at home. They're playing in a very unique ballpark. The Cubs have a massive home field advantage. They know the sight lines. I am concerned.
Let me just add one tiny positive note to that, though, because I agree with everything you just said. Does bear noting that the Cubs have actually hit worse at Wrigley Field this year than they did on the road. They hit fewer home runs, 103 to 120. They hit for a lower average by 13 points, 243 to 256, and they slugged almost 20-ish points lower, 419 to 441, over 20 points, 22 points lower. So they hit more away. So that's interesting. Also, the wind blows in far more than it blows out at Wrigley Field. So that's one of those things people used to say, oh my God, it's one of the worst home run parks in the world for pitchers. But then it winds up being one of the best home run parks for pitchers if the wind is blowing in, which it is quite often. So, something to think about that's positive on the Padres side of the ledger. The Padres hold opponents to a very low average, and the Cubs hit for a low average. So that's good.
Right now, the weather report doesn't look all that great. It looks like about 20% more home runs than average expected tomorrow. But, that's based on a wind forecast that is, it oscillates quite a bit. And I think that the Cubs aren't coming in as hot as the Padres. Like, I'm really confident, guys. Like, I don't know. We're already living in 1984, with like the thought police and doublespeak. Like, why not just do it in baseball too?
Interesting.
Well, in 1984, the Cubs did win both of their games at Wrigley Field.
Yes, they did.
I'm
Quite convincing.
talking about overall results,
Yeah.
not specific Wrigley Field related.
Yeah,
results.
if we had 5 games, then maybe. But I just want to provide the counterweight. I will say, and I said this on the postgame show yesterday, the wind is supposed to be blowing in. And supposed to be blowing in from like a center field to right field sort of direction. What that's not necessarily going to bat down. That's great for Nick Pivetta against lefties, not so great against righties. And the Cubs, while they did not hit as well at home, I just want to say on the year, they led Major League Baseball in pulled balls in the air. All of Major League Baseball, 21.8% of their batted balls were pulled in the air. The Padres were 27th in the league in that category, 15.7%. And so I just want to point that out because, again, we have Nick Pivetta, who's going to be giving up a lot of contact in the air on the hill. So the wind could very much be helping us out, and I think that that's great. It could also be a minimal impact, and then we have to kind of take into these little things to account. At the end of the day, it's one start. Anything can happen.
Right.
He shows up. Nick Pivetta has stuff that rivals even Dylan Cease's stuff on this team. He truly has ace stuff. And if he's firing that day, then everything I'm saying is irrelevant, and the Padres will win the game, and that's awesome. I just also want to point out that this is who the Cubs are as we talk about them, as we get to know them, and they are they're a good hitting team that pulls the ball in the air, and that's what you want in the modern game.
They're pitching Matthew Boyd game 1, correct? They're pitching Matthew Boyd.
Sorry, isn't it Imanaga?
It's Moyd. It's Moyd. It's Matthew Boyd game 1 and Imanaga
worth
game
noting,
2.
kind of like Nick Pivetta, Boyd signed a relatively cheap contract and went on to have a career year with the Cubs, but has lately fallen off a little bit. His last 7 starts, he's put up a 6 ERA. He's had trouble, just with contact more than anything. It had his walk rate stayed low, but he's given up a lot of hits, given up a lot of hard hits. So I feel really confident even against Imanaga. I know we've got the lefty devil magic working against us, but I like that matchup a lot. Piv versus Boyd in a home run game.
Okay. Well, allow me to disagree. I think the number one thing that the Cubs have going for them in this series is the way the pitching lines up. And the reason I say that is as follows progressively. First off, the Padres all season long have been stymied by one particular type of pitcher, a left-handed pitcher who controls and commands the zone.
Doesn't walk guys.
And while, as you mentioned, Boyd's walk rate went up recently, overall, his walk rate is excellent. Imanaga's walk rate is excellent. These guys command the zone. The reason that Boyd and Imanaga get in trouble, the thing that hurts them, is allowing home runs. Imanaga, in particular, has been giving up the long ball in bunches. He's given up 20 home runs in his last 69 and 2/3
Boyd has given up one
pitched.
in every single start the past month. I mean, Pivetta kind of does the same thing.
Okay. But here's the rub. They give up those homers to right-handed hitters. Both Imanaga and Boyd do a great job of controlling power against left-handed batters. And the Padres are going to have 5 left-handed batters in the lineup in these playoff games, meaning not only do the statistics favor their ability to suppress the Padres' ability to hit home runs, but furthermore, these 2 veterans, Boyd and Imanaga, neither, spring chickens, they very much understand that unless they get into situations where they're forced to it, they can always work around the power hitting Padres, Tatis, Machado, Bogarts, avoid giving them power pitches because there's always a lefty in the next at bat. Every time, guaranteed, there's a lefty waiting in the on-deck circle when one of the Padres righties is up. So there's always that workaround ability for a veteran pitcher, veteran catcher to utilize as a get-out-of-jail-free card. And then, if things get tight, Caleb Thielbar, Drew Pomerantz, who's the third lefty? I just blanked on my mind. Oh, and Taylor Rogers are all waiting, lined up in order to pitch. I think it's a very strong chance that the Padres literally don't see a right-handed arm from the Cubs of any sort unless the Cubs are trailing or it is the ninth inning and Palencia comes into the game. Otherwise, they could literally navigate us all lefties all the time going to game 3.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't, to be completely honest, and especially because of the nature of, I don't think at this time we're recording just after noon on Monday that there's been an official word about whether Gavin Sheets is going to get the start or not in tomorrow's game, or if it's going to be Bryce Johnson instead. But if, for the sake of this argument, Sheets does get the start, there will almost undoubtedly be a part of the Padres lineup that has 3 lefties in a row at a certain point, just because of the way that they have locked in the top 3 of Tatis, Arraez, Machado. That means that you probably get a lefty in the cleanup spot, you probably get Bogarts in the 5 hole, and then you're going to go lefty, lefty, lefty. Cronenworth's at 8, so you're going to get some combination of Sheets and O'Hearn going in at 6 and 7 to Cronenworth 8. And that is just like, if I'm Craig Counsell, that is just like a, in cartoons where you like someone would get like a big steak in their eyes when they're hungry, like a dog, Pluto or something like that. Like that's him on the phone to the bullpen underneath the Wrigley Field bleachers. He's like, get up Thielbar, get up Pomerantz, get up Rogers. That's the game that they're playing. And oh, by the way, if I'm Craig Counsell, am I really that deterred if Bryce Johnson is the one that would be breaking up that platoon? Of course I'm not deterred. I'm going to take him against whatever those 2 lefties are. So, I mean, like, look, that's just the really unfortunate nature of what happened with Ramon Laureano's injury. And, something for us to watch, certainly, but nothing we can really do.
I'm giving Bryce Johnson a start just for the defensive value alone, because I think it's going to play a big part in this game.
I agree.
I would too. We all agree. We would all start Bryce Johnson in left field. I just don't think they're going to. I mean, I would furthermore make sure that Iglesias was in the lineup, and I'm not sure that they're going to do that either. I'm really not. I think they might just start.
It's really easy
Sheets,
for them to point to sub 6 OPS on the season and be like, "How can we?" But that's why you signed him.
It's literally why you need him on the team, is because he could come up with a big base hit and command the zone against these controlled lefties. The thing that I'm most scared about is Boyd walking to the dugout at the end of the top of the 3rd. It's 0-0, and he's thrown 28 pitches. And that's just the way the Padres have gone against these lefties that hit both sides of the corners. Is they see it happen, they get caught looking once, and then it's like, okay, second pitch swinging, first pitch swinging. Let's go try and get that ball that we can get. In our discussion, we've wound up going through a lot of these series keys. Because to me, the thing, again, that breaks all the mold is just Tatis being Tatis, Machado being Machado. Those guys can hit anyone.
Yeah, Machado versus a lefty, I'll take it every day, every single day. But it's whether he gets pitched to.
Tatis against a lefty, amazing. Right. But that's the whole thing. Can the Padres put together the chain offense that gives their right-handed batters a chance to slug in critical situations, and then they come through? It's a tightrope, but the Padres superstars can break the formula. Can a left-handed Padre hit a home run off a left-hander? I think that's one of the absolute keys to the series. I'm not. Anything can happen.
Chrome poking it 364 feet. Oh,
Crone never hits opposite field home runs. Like
I'm aware. He literally never hits opposite field home runs once, but him doing it. come on, let that sink in.
It's that Arrested Development meme where it's like, no, it couldn't possibly work for them. But what if it worked for us?
Exactly. I don't, anything can happen. The Padres could win 2 games 1-0 on 2 sacrifice bunts. But I don't think they're going to beat the Cubs unless a left-handed hitter hits a home run in the series. I think that's going to be a really, really important part of this series. I think controlling Seiya Suzuki is a really important part of this series. Just like for them, they're going to say controlling Tatis and controlling O'Hearn, because those guys are red hot right now. Keeping that going is important. Which team's starting pitching question marks come through? The Cubs think that they've got shaky starting pitching. We think we've got shaky starting pitching. Who comes through? Both teams have good bullpens. So look out for that. Dylan Cease is the X factor. And I'm going to give
Padres got him on bullpen.
Yeah, that's the Padres' big edge in the series, I think, unquestionably. And it's like, this is, and I just think it's worth pointing out for folks, and I know it's we know this, but it's just worth repeating. A bullpen in the regular season does not equal a bullpen in the playoffs.
That's true.
A powerful bullpen in the playoffs is something they can roll out those guys literally every single game, and the Padres have, if not the best, one of the best bullpens. And the game, when we talk about shortening games, that's a theory in the regular season. That is a thing in the playoffs. And like that, and so the advantage Padres there, unquestionably.
Advantage, yes. I'm just saying, in saying that, don't discount the Cubs as having a not good.
They have
bullpen.
a mid bullpen.
They've got a good bullpen.
They've got a good. They've got a good.
Yeah,
bullpen.
it's good because
it's been
got
very
Brad
good down
Keller.
the stretch, Chris.
That's why.
Well, yes, which brings me to my final and single most irrational key to the series. AKAB. All Kellers are bad. We need to avoid Brad Keller hitting Manny Machado in the hand with a pitch in game 1.
Why don't let's put that on the shirt? Let's put that.
Fucker
let's put a ball just like blowing
that guy's
up a hand,
gonna throw
like the Death
inside and explode one of our dudes' hands, because a Keller blows up one of our hands every time they face us. We're like 3 for 3 on Kellers showing up and blowing up dudes' hands. Keep that Keller guy as far away from our stars as possible. Hate Keller. Anyway, if your name is Keller out there, unsubscribe. I hate you.
Fuck every descendant of Helen.
Jesus.
I guess my theory, if I'm sticking by my words, you're right.
No,
Does she have kids?
No, she didn't. And like, to me, you just said it, but to me, this series is going to come down to Padres bullpen performance versus Cubs home runs. Like, I feel like the Padres don't need to hit home runs to win. They can string together big innings. They can do that. I've seen it. And the guys are hot enough that they can do it. But limiting those home runs, all of them, Pivetta, King, Cease, Wandy, friggin' literally Jeremiah, all of our guys at some point or another have been a little susceptible to the long ball. You Darvish, for crying out loud. And like, I feel like that's going to be the difference. Their home runs versus our bullpen.
I'm going to go a little bit in a mix of both of you guys and just say that I do think that this series is going to come down to home runs. And part of the reason for that is that we haven't brought it up yet. The Cubs are pretty unbelievable on defense. They're the second best defensive team in baseball, according to StatCast. They had 41 defensive runs, according to StatCast fielding run value.
Aren't Horner and PCA like top 5 each of them? Like,
Yeah. Horner is the best second baseman in baseball. I don't know if PCA is the top, but he is very close to the top.
He might lead the whole league in defensive runs saved.
Yes, and Dansby Swanson, while he is not the best shortstop, he's still very good. He's still above average, and so you were looking at a team that is absolutely rock solid defensively up the middle. And by the way, you talk about differences in the season in the standings. The Cubs were 2 games better than the Padres. The difference between the Cubs and the Padres defensively, according to StatCast, was 38 runs. That's about 4 wins. So there's your difference in the standings right there. Yeah. And the one way you can take the defense out of it, hit the ball over the fucking fucking fence.
True.
Right.
And so, the Padres are a team that they're hitting line to line, foul pole to foul pole, everything like that, which is all well and good if you're playing against a defensively incompetent team. But if you're against a team that's going to steal, an out, 2 outs, 3 outs every game, when you only have 54 outs to play with in the rest of your season, that is something that's going to be very critical. So I think the key for the series on one side of the ball is definitely the Padres hitting the ball over the fence to take the Cubs defense out of it. Here's the other thing I will say. I think Luis Arraez is the most important player in this series, because if he's the player that he has shown up to be in the last month of the season, then the Padres stand a really good chance. If he is the player that he has not, he has been most of the season, which has been completely inept, and he's hitting in the 2-hole, that's going to nuke the Padres, because if he's hitting in the 2-hole, you're going to have 2 righties in Machado and Bogarts hitting after Arraez immediately in the lineup. And if he's on base for them to hit home runs, that's going to be a factor. So that's number 1. Number 2, here's my other question. Luis Arraez is almost undoubtedly going to be playing first base for the Padres, because Mike Schilt is a fucking idiot when it comes to that sense. And if we lose an out or 2 outs defensively in the series because Arraez isn't tall enough to catch a baseball, or isn't able to dig something out or dive for something because he's not long enough, literally, that Ryan O'Hearn would potentially be able to scoop out, that is something that is going to come into play. And so that's why I think sneakily, yes. Can Tatis turn the series on the dime? Absolutely. Can he do something otherworldly? Yes. Can Kyle Tucker do something crazy? If he's yes. But Luis Arraez, for where he plays, both defensively and where he stands in the lineup offensively, is sneakily the most important player in the series. And the Padres, just as they have all season, will either live by him or they will die by him.
Of that analysis, I just still put my chip on Cease, because he gets the ball in a must-win game.
Yeah.
And it's if he puts us in a 4-0 hole, okay, we're going to play a 3-game series. We're going to have to win 2 out of 3. By the way, one of those games you're down 4-0 right away. It really changes the calculus of who is expected to win. We all want the Padres to win. I personally think this specific matchup favors Chicago. I think the Padres have a better matchup in the next round against Milwaukee. And I'd love to be proven wrong. And I do think San Diego. Here's the other thing I want to say.
Lost their Rookie of the Year candidate. Each of their 2 starters have a 5 ERA the last month of the season. I just don't see it. I just want to get. Do you want to finish your point, or you want to hear my guy?
No, I want to hear your guy. Go ahead.
My guy's Xander Bogaerts. For all the stuff we talked about with the left-handed hitters, Bogey's going to have a left-handed hitter on either side of him. He's going to have guys on base. He's going to have runners in scoring position. Like while Xander Bogaerts, he's going to take high leverage at bats this series. He's not been back that long. He's played some pretty damn good shortstop while he's been, and he's hit some power. So to go ahead and Venn diagram with you, Raphie, with the home runs and the defense, Xander Bogaerts can pull that ball, get it up in the air, and get it over that left field wall and play a competent shortstop. He's going to be huge to the team hitting down there at 5th in between the lefties.
Yeah. Well, the last thing I was going to say in the Padres' favor is that, in the second half, they increased their slugging percentage as a team by 20 points. They slugged .410 or above in both August and September. And they really finished strong in the last couple of weeks in terms of their power hitters hitting for power. There was a point where it looked like Fernando might not get to 20 homers. He got to 25. There certainly was a point where it looked like Manny was going to be low 20s. He finished 27. Those guys getting it going. Xander getting to double digits. For goodness sakes, it looked like he might hit 5 homers for the whole season at one point in the year. And he got up to 11 or 12 when all was said and done. So those guys hitting for power, giving the Padres the opportunity to get a lead to give to their dominant bullpen. That's the win condition. The Padres could win this series and look really, really good doing it. So I want you to understand that. I'm looking at the kind of entirety of possibilities, right? The run it 1,000 times type scenario. I think there's a number of scenarios that do play to Chicago's favor, in particular, if their lefties pitch the way lefties have pitched against San Diego, not the way those 2 dudes have pitched against other lineups in baseball over the course of the last 6 weeks. It's how they pitch to our lineup tomorrow and Wednesday. I think it's an advantage for Chicago, not one that is insurmountable, either team can win this series. There's no question in my mind about that. I just think this is a difficult matchup. It would be a lot different at Petco Park. I think this is a tricky matchup and one that the Padres are going to probably have to slug their way through, and they're going to have to get their good pitchers are going to have to pitch a lead. I just don't think they're going to be able to overcome, Pivetta giving up 5 runs and Dylan Cease giving up 4 or 5 runs.
Yeah. I also just think like I said, 54 outs, that's all the Padres have left in the season to overcome or to fall by. How many of those are they going to give away in sacrifice bunts?
No.
That's what I want to know. And that could potentially be the difference in the season.
Against these Cubs, man, it could play a big one. Like, and I if it's Luis Ariz, Raphie, we're fucked. If he's the one giving it out at the top of the order, and then you've got Manny who's susceptible to strikeouts, and then Jackson after him, it's a losing strategy. But if it's at the bottom where Bryce Johnson is filling in, he's testing the only 2 weak spots on that infield. Third base, not weak spots because they're both solid, but first base and third base, and they're pitchers. Like, and Freddie Fermin's proven an adept guy. I feel like the Padres being, I don't want to say the best, but the most prolific bunting team in Major League Baseball doesn't hurt them all that much in the playoffs. I feel like it actually is an asset.
Am I here?
Yeah, you're here.
Oh, it says on mine trying to reconnect. So
it said that on mine.
It said that on mine too. It's all right.
Okay.
I didn't get any nods though.
Interesting.
I didn't see this, so I was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I was just like, hi, am I here? I don't even know if I'm here or not. I have no idea. Well, here's what I do know. 12 o'clock Tuesday, 12 o'clock Wednesday, you're going to find this guy at Bottle Rocket. We're going to go for a ride, and I'm going to be there, and I hope to see a lot of patrons down at Bottle Rocket support Eli in the closing week or weeks of the bar. They've been trying to keep it up through the postseason. Well, we're here. So let's go out and, tip 80% and do all those things and fill up the place and have an incredible time. And furthermore, we will be doing win or lose post-game shows after every Padres postseason game, just like we've done every year since they started making the playoffs in 2020. Before that, it was not relevant. And those shows the next 2 days will be at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Those, regardless, unless, of course, the game goes 4.5 hours, in which case it'll be later. But as long as the game goes a normal time, regardless of if it goes 2.5 or 3 hours and 15, we will be on at 4 p.m. After the 12 o'clock game with our live post-game show on Discord. So you can count on that. There'll be an event made in advance, but you can. And if the game on Thursday, if there's a game Thursday and it's at 12 o'clock, it'll be a 4 o'clock post game show that day too. So that's partially in due to all of our schedules, but mostly mine picking up my son from high school, which is specifically killing the 3 o'clock hour for me every day. So that's what our game plan is. So we hope to see everybody there. Any final other thoughts, guys?
I just want to end the show on gratitude. Like, it's been a really fun season. It's been a lot of ups and downs. But we constantly question what makes a successful season or not. And it probably is still a little bit too early to say if the Padres had a successful season, but I think you can definitively say it wasn't unsuccessful because the Padres made the playoffs. They're in the dance. That was something that they were not predicted to do by many of the major models going in. They won 90 games. That's 5 more than Craig, you and I had predicted. They would win. Obviously, they beefed up a little bit in the interim, but I'm really stoked on this team, and I can already hear the Schmevies and the Tevies in my ears talking about, well, what about next year when the Padres don't have the farm system and this, that, and the other. It doesn't matter right now. It just truly doesn't matter.
That was supposed to be
matters
this year. We didn't have the farm system this year.
Exactly.
So we won't again next year.
All that matters is these next 2 games. Hopefully, these next 13 Padres wins, and as you said, Craig, a champagne-soaked Padres hot tub in November to celebrate it all. Otherwise, until then, a very hearty go Padres.
Oh, it just
Anything,
felt like
Chris?
such a natural closer. I didn't want to walk all over it, but it just brought us home.
Well, in this show of awkward pauses, why don't we just have a couple more?
Yeah.
I love talking about this team so much with you guys and with the people in the Discord. I'm gonna be absolutely crushed if the season ends this week. In my heart of hearts, I don't believe so. I think they're doing everything we asked of them. Regardless of if it makes them happy to talk about it or not. If you haven't seen Manny Machado's clubhouse interview, go watch it. Our guy is hot. He's ready to go. These guys want to win a World Series, man, and we all want it so bad. And I'm just stoked they're in the dance because 2 years ago, we were exactly where Frank the Tank and the New York Mets diaspora is today.
Yeah.
We were exactly where they were. We had the same friggin' right fielder, you know. We were sitting right there with them. And this is such a random sport. We talk about the team winning on the margins, and in the end, their margin of error was pretty significant. Like, this team's good. They didn't get in by the absolute skin of their teeth, hair of their teeth. They didn't get in by a hair, skin of the cat,
Skin of their teeth.
skin of the teeth. That saying makes a lot of sense.
Hair of the chinny
chins.
Yeah,
I think.
They didn't get in that way. They earned the fifth spot. You know, they're not a fringe team. They are a good team. They may not have the pedigree that the $1 billion club does. They may not have the aces that the Philly club has, but they've done what we've asked them to do, and I've loved watching them. And that Nando home run Friday night, it felt like a marquee moment, and it felt like a club ready to make a few more. Marquee's not covering the game. They're the Cubs.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah, because that could monkey paw on you really quick. Well, the thing I'm most excited about from a Padres victory standpoint is that a victory over the Chicago Cubs will mean, based on all of our discussion here and our analysis, that San Diego will have overcome some of the things that have classically bogged them down this year. They will have won on the road. They'll have beaten a winning team on the road. They will have defeated left-handed command starters, and they will have done that on the road. These are things that they've struggled with all year long. And if they can overcome them and beat Chicago and say, no, it's not about left-handed command starter. It's just about, are you good enough to win in the playoffs? You know, the dudes with stuff. Boyd and Imanaga weren't dudes, and so we could crush them. Then it's going to really augur well going forward for this club. It's going to make them look like a team that could beat all the teams in the bracket because this one happens to hold a couple of cards that are supposed to have power over us. So to see us overcome that would be amazing. And we'll be here to track every pitch of it the rest of the way. For Chris and Raphie, I'm Craig. Big breath. Go Padres.